a small village nestled between green mountains and peaceful valleys. Leticia, a 17-year-old girl with deep brown eyes full of a hope that refused to die. Since her mother's death, when she was only 12 years old, her life had changed forever. Dona Margarida, her stepmother, took command of the house with an iron fist. "You're not a spoiled child anymore. You eat our bread, so work as you deserve," she repeated every morning, her voice sharp as an old knife. While Clara, Margarida's biological daughter, slept until noon and received new dresses for every party, Leticia woke up before the first ray of sunlight. She went down to the river carrying heavy baskets of dirty clothes, washed everything with hands, wrinkled by the cold water, returned and lit the stove to prepare breakfast for the family. Afterward, she took care of the small garden, where she grew flowers that were her only refuge of beauty. She also helped her little brother Lucas, who was 8 years old, get ready and did his school lessons with him by the light of an oil lamp, since the electricity often failed. The tiredness weighed on her young shoulders, but Leticia never complained out loud. She hummed softly the songs her mother had taught her while sweeping the floor or kneading the bread dough. In her chest, she held a big dream: to study to become a nurse and one day take care of those who needed it most. Dad always said that courage isn't about not falling, but about getting up even when your legs are shaking, she whispered to herself on the hardest nights. Dona Margarida supervised every task. If a piece of clothing wasn't perfectly white, or if lunch was 5 minutes late, harsh scoldings and disapproving looks would come. "You're lucky to still be here." Many stepmothers wouldn't even accept a stepdaughter, she would say, while spoiling Clara with attention that Leticia only saw from afar. Clara, in turn, treated her half-sister with indifference, sometimes even with mockery, asking Leticia to serve her water or clean her room. Even so, Leticia found small joys. She played with Lucas in the backyard when the stepmother wasn't watching, told him stories of brave heroes that he loved so much, and taught him to respect plants and animals. The boy was her light on dark days. Sometimes, at the end of the day, when everyone was asleep, Leticia sat on the old porch, looked at the stars, and let a few silent tears fall. She missed her mother's warm embrace and her father's laughter, who had passed away shortly after. The village whispered quietly about the situation. "Poor girl, she works more than an adult," the neighbors would say at the market. However, no one had the courage to confront Dona Margarida, who was known for her strong temper and for controlling the house with rigor. Leticia endured everything with dignity. In her heart, she cultivated the certainty that one day life would reward her patience and effort. She didn't know it, but every act of kindness and every silent effort was preparing her for something much greater. The wind that entered through the window of the simple room seemed to whisper promises of change. Leticia dried her hands on her old apron, looked toward the horizon of the mountains, and smiled faintly. "One day," she murmured before returning to work, the old house, with its cracked walls and zinc roof, held more pain than comfort, but it also held the seed of an extraordinary strength inside that young woman who refused to be broken. One day, the sky that was once blue and serene began to darken rapidly. Heavy, lead-colored clouds advanced from the mountains, bringing a strong wind that made the trees dance frighteningly. The villagers sensed that something serious was coming. Leticia, who was hanging clothes in the backyard, stopped when she felt the first thick drops falling. "It's going to rain hard today," she murmured to herself, quickly gathering everything. In just a few minutes, the rain turned into a true deluge. The wind howled like a wounded animal, ripping off roof tiles and branches. The river, normally calm, swelled with fury, turning into a violent current of muddy waters that carried logs and stones. Screams began to echo through the village. People ran desperately, carrying children and few belongings, trying to climb to higher ground near the church. Leticia heard a distant cry mixed with the noise of the storm. It was Lucas. The boy, scared by the thunder, had left the house to look for his puppy that had run away. Without hesitating for a second, Leticia ran barefoot through the slippery mud, her heart pounding in her chest. "Lucas, where are you?" she shouted, her voice almost swallowed by the roar of the water. She found him on the riverbank, clinging to a root while the current pulled at his legs. The water was already up to his waist. With courage born from pure love, Leticia jumped onto an unstable rock, stretching her arm as far as she could. "Hold my hand, Lucas. Don't let go," she ordered. The boy grabbed her wrist, but the force of the water was brutal. Leticia felt her feet slipping. For a terrible moment, both of them almost got swept away. She dug her fingers into the wet earth, using all her strength, her muscles burning with pain. With a cry of effort, she pulled her brother up and hugged him tightly, protecting him with her own body, while the rain lashed their faces. Soaked and trembling, Leticia had no time to rest. Running back to the village, she saw that Dona Teresa's house, the elderly neighbor, was about to collapse. Water was undermining the foundations, and the mud walls were cracking loudly. Dona Teresa screamed from inside the house, trapped by fear. "I can't walk properly," the old woman cried. Dona Margarida, holding Clara, pulled Leticia by the arm. "Don't get involved, girl. It's too dangerous. You're going to die." But Leticia pulled away with determination. "I can't leave her alone," she replied firmly. Organizing the few neighbors who were still nearby, she formed a human chain. She entered the flooded house, helped Dona Teresa climb onto the back of a strong man, and coordinated the removal of basic furniture and supplies. The mud sucked at her feet, the wind nearly knocked her down, and a flying piece of wood grazed her head. Even so, she didn't stop. Her example ignited courage in others. Men who hesitated began to help. Women gathered the children, and together they managed to save not only Dona Teresa, but also part of her belongings. Leticia carried the old woman the last few meters to safety, her arms trembling with exhaustion and her lungs burning. When she finally set the elderly woman down, she fell to her knees, breathing heavily. Lucas ran and hugged her, crying, "You saved everyone, lady." Dona Margarida watched everything from a distance, her face wet not only from the rain but from tears she tried to hide. For the first time, she saw her stepdaughter not as a servant, but as an extraordinary young woman. The storm continued destroying roofs and plantations, but in the midst of the chaos, Leticia's courage shone like a beacon. The day after the storm, while the village was still trying to recover among muddied streets and damaged houses, an elegant dark car slowly climbed the main road. It was Mr. Alexander Ventura, a successful businessman from the capital, who had come to check the damage in the region where he had distant relatives and to offer humanitarian aid. Tall, with a serene and firm gaze, he stopped in the central square and soon began to hear the residents' stories. Stories about a brave young girl who had saved her brother and an elderly woman spread quickly. It was Leticia who led everything. They said, intrigued, Alexander asked to meet her. When he found her, Leticia was still in her mud-stained clothes, helping distribute food to the displaced. Her brown eyes shone with tiredness, but also with determination. He approached and said gently, "I heard you faced the fury of nature without thinking twice. Few people have that kind of courage in their hearts." Leticia blushed, not knowing how to react. Mr. Alexander talked with her for a long time, listening to her dreams of studying nursing, about the loss of her parents, and about her difficult life at home. Impressed by her maturity and kindness, he made a proposal that would change everything. A full scholarship in the city, including safe housing, transportation, books, and even a small salary so she could help her family from afar. "You deserve a chance to fly, Leticia. Your father would be proud," he said, without revealing the full truth yet. Dona Margarida, upon learning of the offer, was divided. At first she reacted with distrust and jealousy, fearing losing control over the house. Clara went, but Lucas grabbed his sister's hand and begged her to accept. After many tense conversations and a sleepless night, Margarida finally agreed, moved by the change she saw in her stepdaughter after the flood. Leticia left for the city with a heart tight with longing, but full of hope. In the first months, the challenge was enormous. She woke up early to study, attended the nursing classes, with total dedication and still worked part-time at a local clinic. She missed her brother, her garden, and even the sound of the birds in the village. There were nights when she cried from loneliness in her small room, questioning if she could make it. But every time she wavered, she remembered the storm and the promise she had made to herself to be strong. Her determination bore fruit. Leticia stood out in her class, helping her classmates and participating in a volunteer project supporting victims of natural disasters. Her story inspired teachers and students. The great twist during a recognition ceremony for the volunteers. Months later, Mr. Alexander took the stage and revealed something that shocked Leticia. He had been her father's best friend in his youth. Years earlier, he had promised to take care of the family if anything bad happened. He had sent letters, money, and invitations for Leticia to study in the capital. But Dona Margarida had hidden everything. Out of fear of being left alone, of losing Lucas and Clara, and because she had raised the children amid poverty and insecurity, the stepmother had blocked all attempts at contact. When Leticia confronted Margarida in the village, the meeting was filled with emotion. "Why did you hide all this from me?" Leticia asked. Her voice choked, but without hatred. Dona Margarida broke down in tears. "You were always so strong, so good, and I felt small next to you. I was very wrong, my daughter. Forgive me." Leticia hugged her tightly, forgiving her with all her heart. The forgiveness cleansed the old wounds. With Alexandra's support, she helped reform the family home, fixing the roof, walls, and even expanding Lucas's room. Clara began to study more seriously. Inspired by her sister, Lucas flourished, happy with the united family. Today, Leticia is a dedicated nurse, saving lives and bringing hope to entire communities. She turned all the pain of the past into strength and light. This story reminds us that true strength does not come from where we were born or how we are treated, but from the choices we make every day. Even in the most difficult situations, courage, love, and forgiveness can transform shadows into light. Never underestimate the power of a person who decides to be kind and strong, even when everything seems against her. True happiness arises when we stop waiting for the world to change and start changing ourselves. If you enjoyed this emotional story, full of twists, action, drama, courage, and a happy ending, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and leave your like. Share it with someone who needs a message of strength and overcoming. Write in the comments which story you want to hear next. Thank you for following along. May your life also have a beautiful twist for the better.